As we reported yesterday on Tousi TV, the British Armed Forces have been infiltrated. And they've been infiltrated by a bunch of anti-Western woke socialists. Yes, this is about the latest scandal in Britain where the recruitment for the armed forces have said that we need to actually bring down the background checks and security check and clearance for people with different backgrounds and different values, different religions, because we need more people to come in. We need diversity. Diversity is our strength. In reality, what that means is that considering we have thousands and thousands of people, extremists, anti-British extremists, freely walking around our streets right now, and they've declared essentially war on our country and our nation, we've said, do you want to join the British Army? Everything's going to be fine. But we now have a group of British Army leaders who've come out to write a letter together to send it to the government to tell them exactly what they think. This is a letter to Grant Shapps, the Defence Secretary. As retired senior officers of the Crown with experience of senior command, we feel compelled to write to you with a sense of sadness, incredulity and anger, having viewed astonishing evidence of the depth and the pervasiveness of the racist and intolerant diversity, equality and inclusivity ideology being pushed within His Majesty's Armed Forces. We see these facts as so they are. As the perpetration of a monumental, self-harming and as such a real and present threat to national security that will give aid and comfort to the King's enemies. The sheer scale of what is reported is scarcely believable, and it cannot be ameliorated by such adjustments. It requires root and branch removal, and we call upon you to order this in pursuit of your primary duties to provide for the sure defense of our islands and citizens. I mean, it's incredibly sad that we get this sort of language and this sort of passion for our nation from retired officers rather than everyday people in this country. Now, there are still patriots in this country. There are still people who believe in freedom and our values. But the education system and the whole of our cultural institutions are brainwashing our young children and younger people in general to not be this passionate about this kingdom. The letter continues. Nothing could be better calculated to destroy the esprit de corps of our armed forces than this poisonous farrago of nonsense, or to deter from serving the crown precisely the type of people most motivated and apt to our high calling. Ours is a tolerant country, and this obsessive racializing of everything is both disgusting and reprehensible. As you spell out in your Lancaster House speech, correctly in our view, we live in pre-war times, and Britain faces an ominous and darkening international scene with armed forces that are under-equipped, undermanned and underfunded as we were back in the 1930s. Among the lunacy of pushing woke ideas around the use of gender-neutral pronouns or allowing male soldiers to wear makeup or flowing flocks or parades to accentuate their feminine side, we pick out the wickedness of a policy to dilute security vetting in order to boost representation of ethnic minorities. With Islamism and other extremism rampant, this is nothing short of dangerous madness. It isn't just absolute madness, this should be classified as treason. This is actual treacherous behavior that we are seeing right now in the establishment. The cry for diversity has been utterly misunderstood. Within a military culture, what is to be sought above everything else is the delivery of fighting power in order to defeat the king's enemies, together with the greatest uniformity of excellence and diversity of opinion. Nothing else matters. The memorial gates on Constitutional Hill are an object lesson of the unforced unity in all their diversity of imperial and Commonwealth armies in defense of freedom. To remove Christianity from acts of remembrance is also a particular insult to our ancestors who fought and died to lead the world in ending slavery and twice in the last century to save our islands from conquests by extreme regimes. No one should need to be reminded that this is a welcoming, inclusive and basically Christian country. Our civic culture on the 11th of November is sacred, Christian, tolerant and inclusive on our terms. I'm glad there are still people in this country who believe in defending Judeo-Christian values. The fact that this is basically a Christian country and you must defend it. Whether you are a religious person or an atheist, you still live in this country. The Russians, the Iranians and Chinese will be observing our descent into self-hatred and obsessing over diversity and inclusion with glee. These intolerable policies are forcing the British Armed Forces into moral disarmament, and it cannot stand. We call on you, as Secretary of State for Defense, immediately to cleanse our military culture of these poisonous ideas and to order a complete reset back to our core values of patriotism and unity that for generations made our armed forces the envy of the world. To preserve and deepen military culture, discipline and efficiency, the Ministry of Defense should be exempted from the public sector equality duty as specified in the Equality Act 2010. We are not civil servants, but fighting forces. And here's a list of all the leaders who have signed this letter. You can see that was a Major General Julian Thompson, CB and OBE, and many others who've also decided to join and express their concern. Now, of course, we're getting close to the general election, which means that Grant Shapps and Rishi Sunak are going to be doing something. They are going to be doing something to keep you happy, to say that we have heard the voice of concern. In reality, they're not even in charge. It is the state that is in charge. It's the civil service that is in charge. And those institutions have been, in fact, infiltrated for years and years without anybody in the political establishment even noticing. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I'm Tousi, and we are the media.